Hello and welcome to NDTV Profit. You're joining us this morning after the Narendra Modi government has, of course, announced a slew of new measures, new projects within the ports as well as the wind energy segment. They've increased the MSP, of course, to ensure that 14 crops farmers get better pay. But the project financing or the project announcements that the government has come up with, those are seeming like the big story for the rest of the day, because of course it's part of the Modi government's 100-day long plan as soon as they come into power. I have with me Mr. Dinesh Khara, the Chairman of State Bank of India, to discuss the announcements that were made by the government last evening. Mr. Khara, welcome to this conversation. It's a pleasure talking to you, sir. The first question I wanted to ask you is with regard to this mega port project that they've announced, 76,000 crore worth of a project, and alongside that, of course, the wind energy, offshore wind energy projects that they've announced. As a banker, looking at the current lay of the land, how are you seeing these announcements boosting lending opportunities for lenders?
Yes, of course. This is a very positive step, because this is when it comes to the greenfield port and also the offshore wind energy project which has been announced. These are in line with the overall goal of the country in terms of improving our exports, and also when it comes to wind energy, encouraging the renewables. So I think this kind of an announcement for the projects will go a long way. And we have always seen that the infrastructure project have got a significant multiplier effect, and at times it is as high as 4 times. So needless to mention that it actually gives encouragement to all the core sectors of the industry also, be it cement, steel, and iron ore. So everything actually will get encouragement, and on the top of it, it will actually declog the logistics, and particularly when we are aiming for becoming a significant economy from the merchandise exports point of view. It will be a very significant step in that direction. And also I would like to mention that our special focus on the renewable energy, and particularly this offshore wind energy, of course this is first of its kind, but it will go a long way in terms of enabling the country to exploit this opportunity which is available across our shores in the country. So I think coastal belt will have a significant advantage on this, and also it will give sufficient boost to the linkages to this wind energy sector.
Right. Just looking at the announcements as they are, they seem like really large scale. You're talking about 1 gigawatts on the offshore wind energy side, a very large port project, and the deadline for this port project is set at 2029. I'm just curious to understand, as a lender, when you look at this, do we have the appetite to sort of absorb all these large capacities that are coming in?
No, see, the point is that now as the opportunities are unfolding in the economy, there is adequate interest which you get to see from the foreign investors also. And we have seen across the globe, there are many centers where there's a lot of patient money which is available, patient capital which is available. So I'm sure they will be looking at such opportunities, because when it comes to the demand, there is a huge demand for these services in the economy. And naturally, that demand will be something which will make it even more commercially viable too.
Right. Mr. Khara, quick question with regard to the current state of your portfolio. Now, of course, ports and roads make up a large chunk of that infra book that you have. But what is your outlook like for FY25? Are there a lot of projects available for you?
No, we have seen decent traction, and we have almost about 4.5 trillion worth of book which is there, which is awaiting appraisal, sanctions, etc. So these are the projects in pipeline. So we are already assessing these projects, and many of them were the renewables, and more so they were into the solar space. This offshore wind is something which is new, and we are very, very keenly looking at such opportunities also.
Earlier in the day, we were discussing this with another lender, and they were talking about the fact that currently this offshore wind energy, as you said, it's pretty much new for the Indian ecosystem. But the capability or the capacities to produce the turbines necessary for this may not be ready right now. But as time progresses, we should be. So there are a lot of allied lending opportunities. You also said that this has a multiplier effect 4 times as high as 4 times you mentioned. But how are you seeing that opportunity panning out? Is that something that SBI is also keen on, the allied opportunities that might come in?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, we are very keen in terms of all such opportunities which are going to emerge in this sector. And I would also like to mention that in particularly in the Nordic countries, there is offshore wind as something which is seen, and I'm sure the Indian entrepreneurs also will engage with such promoters from. Promoters will engage with such collaborators from the Nordic countries, and we can certainly ensure its timely execution. That's not a challenge. And I think when it comes to turbine, etc., we do have the capacity within the country, and it can be with such specific requirements can be addressed in good time.
All right. Since we are short on time right now, I just wanted to take up a couple of questions with respect to SBI itself. How are you seeing this liabilities issue panning out for the rest of this financial year? I know you said in an interview recently that things are starting to look better and that deposit rates will start inching down eventually, especially for somebody like SBI who's sitting on a large amount of liquidity. But how are you seeing this liabilities panning out?
No, as I would like to mention that there is just an adequate liquidity in the system. So obviously there are multiple options which are available with the savers. One could be market, the other could be deposits. But yes, of course, we would like to mention that we were having some issues relating to when it comes to interest rate structure around different maturities. So we have generally addressed that issue, and we have increased our deposit rates in some of the buckets for the term deposit. But nevertheless, our overall cost of funds remains more or less the same. So, but yes, of course, it requires, to really address this issue relating to deposit, one has to really come out with the ways and means through which we can attract the deposit, which also means the network should be there, and which also means that services should be something which should be embedded into these offerings. So that is something which helps us in having an edge over others. And as far as we are concerned, we are seeing a reasonable traction as far as deposits are concerned. And as you would have seen that our loan to deposit ratio is somewhere around 69%. So we have ample room to support the loan operation of the bank. And also we have got sufficient deposit also to support the growth which you are seeing on the canvas.